and you feel as an assemblyman there, you'll be able to help steer and help work with and help the group there understand more of what will be better in this this specific area.
Yeah, the people in the assembly, state assembly, whether it's New York or Los Angeles or any of the other 48 states, bring to their election and to their serving their state and the elected representatives for the country their life experience to the point that they're elected to serve. Very few were physicians, so when they arrive at the Assembly or the House of Representatives, those physicians can do a lot on healthcare solutions. Sadly, very few physicians run for office, and there are very few serving the public in elected office, and there really aren't people in these elected offices that have had the experience to be confident and lead on healthcare solutions. The United States Senate, incredibly, from 1928 to 1994, didn't have a single MD in it. In 1994, Senator Bill Frist got elected, who's a longtime friend of mine, and he was the first MD, and of course he was in a position to understand the healthcare problems and solutions and worked hard to improve it. So the reason I will help California with these healthcare problems is that I'll be the second MD in the Assembly, and I'll be the only independent MD. Richard Pan, who is the other MD, Democratic MD, has to listen to the recommendations, and stronger than that, maybe the insistence of the head of the Democratic Assembly, the Speaker of the Assembly, who's not a physician, a very capable man, but not a physician, doesn't think like a physician, and has, as the leader of a party, has very political considerations in everything he does. The same is true of the Republican Party. I will be independent. Neither of these powerful leaders of the Democrat and Republican Party will have any real influence on me. I don't need anything from them, and I will make pure decisions based on what's good for the constituents.
Give me two other areas there in your area that you're going to talk about.
Yeah, the other areas I'm going to talk about is one, the veterans serve us, risk their lives, in many cases sacrifice their lives for our safety, and when they come back, occasionally they get some thanks, occasionally they get some awards. Neither of those solve the huge problems that they come back with. Very high incidence of post-traumatic stress disorder among our veterans, understandably based on what they experience, what they see, what they feel, the feeling of fear of being killed, the feeling of conflict or guilt sometimes in killing others. So they need to be taken care of in many ways, more importantly than anyway. Thank you. Yeah, I know you do, because you're a caring guy who has gratitude for these wonderful people. So what's happening now is the bureaucracy in the veterans system, and there's really not interested in blaming anybody. It's just that bureaucracy doesn't have the funds and doesn't have the speed of decision-making to interview these veterans, assess their problem, make a determination of the care they get, the benefits they get, the emotional support they get quickly, and turn their lives around. Too many have been waiting for that kind of help and killed themselves, incurred terrible diseases, stress-related diseases that have been aggravated, their families have suffered, and it's been really heart-wrenching to see what happens to these heroes.
Give me one last area that you're going to focus on and feel you can make a dent in.
Well, education is very important, and one of the issues that concerns me is that we have a great many citizens in California, parents who pay taxes and do everything by the book to benefit the state, and because they, for religious reasons or quality of education reasons, have their children in parochial schools, the state has been unsupportive of that choice. So often the family and, more importantly, the child, excuse me, don't get the help that they need. And I know actually the Jewish community best, because I'm Jewish and involved in conservative, all aspects of Judaism, but in the Orthodox world, where virtually all the children go to Hebrew day school, the parents can't afford to pay. The schools try to reduce tuition, reduce the tuition, get wealthy Jews and non-Jews alike to contribute, generate scholarships, but it's definitely not enough. Some of the best schools in Los Angeles, one called Cheder Menachem, that educates the Chabad children of the community, doesn't get any state support, and when the economy isn't good, the philanthropists who love to give can't give. So I think the parents that pay taxes and contribute according to the law need to have consideration from the state so that they can have their children go to these parochial schools and have some help from the state with the tuitions so that their children get a great education and that their parents aren't either bankrupt or just unable to pay it, and then the schools close, they give less scholarships, they have to cut back on professors, or rabbis who teach or clergy who teach. And I went to a public school, but it was I was born in 1947, so in the 60s it was very different. It was a great school in this Detroit, Michigan. The public schools have not been able to keep up well enough through a whole series of things, some of which are certainly not their fault, so that parents in good conscience have their children in parochial schools, and also the religious factors, which are important to the family. And we have a country that allows each and every person to follow their religion. I'm kind of reminded of the one problem, that we have a large number of atheists. And the friend of mine reminded me, he said, well, what's wrong with being an atheist? What's the worst thing? And the answer was that when they die, on the tombstone it says, all dressed up with no place to go. So that's kind of the downside of that. But importantly...
Well, Morry,
yeah.
You got a lot of energy here. Obviously, you're a man ready and raring and willing and wanting to do service. The importance of public service, I believe, is in your soul from the way you have handled your medical career as well as your future career here, and so we wish you the most in the sense of giving you that opportunity to do that. So it's been a good chance to get to meet you, to share what you're doing with our audience. And let me ask you one last question, if I can.
Of course.
Morry, what's good news for you?
What's good news for me? Being on your excellent show, and one of my sort of pet peeves has been that there isn't enough good news coming out to people who have their own struggles, and everyone has a struggle, whether they're the richest or the poorest or healthy or ill, and the good news that they get gives them a little boost, a little optimism, a little help dealing with those things, and you never know who's about to end their lives because things are just too much of a burden, and a little bit of good news can turn things around, and they can go on to have a happy, productive life. You'll never know it happened. They won't completely understand it, but whether we know or don't know what we do for other people doesn't matter.